Aliens is a 1986 sequel to the 1979 film Alien, directed by James Cameron. Upon release, Aliens became a huge success, and its popularity has only grown over the decades, building a strong fan base. The film has all the ingredients for success: suspense, horror, action, and top-tier filmmaking. However, the background of Aliens may be unfamiliar to many. Likewise, some may wonder why the film wasn't simply titled Alien 2. A sequel was indeed planned after Ridley Scott's 1979 Alien. During the production of Alien in 1978, they were already considering an ending that would allow for a direct sequel. One central idea was that an extra alien or an alien egg would be left hidden in the structure of the Narcissus shuttle. Ridley Scott himself also had various visions for a potential sequel. The sequel was not produced immediately. However, in 1980, an unofficial sequel titled Alien 2 on Earth, Alien 2 Solitera, was directed by Italian filmmaker Ciro Ippolito. This was a low-budget film with no official connection to the Alien franchise. 20th Century Fox sued Ippolito for $10 million over the use of the name Alien, but because the word alien had been used in earlier works, such as 1930 novella, Fox had no legal grounds to prevent its use, and Alien 2 became part of film history under an Italian director's name. The production of the official sequel was delayed due to a lawsuit between 20th Century Fox and Brandywine Productions that began in 1980 concerning profit sharing from the original Alien film. The lawsuit was not resolved until 1983, after which Fox agreed to fund a sequel as a way for Brandywine to recover some of the profits from the original. This deal turned out to be very profitable for Brandywine, as the $18 million investment in Aliens yielded $183 million in returns. In the end, Ridley Scott did not return to direct the sequel. At the time, the studio lacked confidence in a follow-up success, and the legal disputes further delayed progress. Over time, however, the sequel was greenlit, but Scott was not invited to write or direct it. In the summer of 1983, James Cameron was brought in to write the screenplay. Scott later expressed frustration over how events unfolded. Initially, Walter Hill and David Giler had wanted Cameron to write a sci-fi reinterpretation of Spartacus movie, but due to the agreement between Fox and Brandywine, Cameron was instead tasked with writing Alien 2. He quickly drafted a 42-page treatment. The story for Alien 2 was partly based on a science fiction script Cameron had written between 1980 and 1981 titled E.T., but upon learning that Steven Spielberg was working on E.T. the Extraterrestrial, Cameron renamed his script Protein and later Mother. Though Mother is not Aliens per se, it laid the foundation for the sequel. Due to various delays and scheduling issues, the script wasn't finalized until 1985, when production finally began. By then, Alien 2 had become Aliens. James Cameron defined the title Aliens based on the idea that in the first Alien film, there was one creature, one threat, but in the sequel, there would be multiple creatures, making the threat many times greater. At the same time, the title would clearly signal that this was a sequel without the need for a numeral. The title Aliens became official during a meeting Cameron had with 3 producers. In the meeting, he first presented the title by writing Alien and then adding the letter S at the end. Cameron then drew 2 vertical lines through the S, turning it into a $sign. The title was approved in the meeting, and the producers understood the message. The film project was given the green light with a budget of $18 million. This video series focuses on the first 1983 version of Aliens, offering a glimpse into what the official Alien 2 might have been. 1. The Endless Nightmare. The Narcissus shuttle flies through space until a large shadow covers it. The shuttle door starts to be cut by the cutting torch until a large piece of the door drops to the floor. Men in hazmat suits enter and approach the hypersleep capsule on the shuttle, where Warrant Officer Ripley, sole survivor of the Nostromo, sleeps. Ripley is dreaming. In the dream, Ripley is running down the hallway of the Nostromo with a flamethrower. She runs hysterically from corridor to corridor. Finally, around the corner, she sees an airlock. Ripley runs to the door and presses the door open button. The door begins to open. It's dark inside. Something scary is waiting there. Within the darkness, a silhouetted shape rises with slow, inhuman grace. Ripley screams. Ripley wakes up to find herself in a dark hospital room. She looks around, drenched in sweat. The monitor above Ripley lights up, and the medtech on the screen asks if everything is okay. Ripley nods. Medtech asks if Ripley was having nightmares again. Ripley again nods and says she wants to see Dr. O'Neill's. Later, Dr. O'Neill tells Ripley that she has only been on Earth Satellite Station Beta for a few days and is still suffering from the natural side effects of extended time in hypersleep. Ripley wonders why she's been having the same nightmare for 60 years, even though humans shouldn't be dreaming in cryosleep. The conversation turns to Ripley's daughter, who lives in Oregon. Ripley asks if her daughter is coming to see her. Dr. O'Neill reminds that Ripley's daughter is 70 years old, and because of that, she can't travel to space easily. Dr. O'Neill shares that Ripley must see her daughter herself when Ripley is released from the station. Ripley is delighted when MedTech brings Jones the cat to Ripley. Dr. O'Neill tells her to sleep because Ripley has a hearing tomorrow. MedTech helps Ripley make a video call to her daughter. The call is short and devastating. Ripley remembers her daughter when she was 10 years old, before Ripley left for the trip, and she is not prepared to hear the old woman's accusations. Ripley's daughter, now an old woman, icily accuses her of abandoning her when she chose her life in space. Ripley ends the call. Ripley makes her way through the hospital complex to an artificially landscaped atrium. She sits under a tree and watches as Jones chases the birds. Her mind is filled with sadness. Even though she survived and the others didn't, she doesn't feel like a survivor or a winner. The difference compared to the film is, in many ways, somewhat distinct. In the 1983 version, Ripley does not have a nightmare about the chestburster. Instead, she is running through the corridors of the Nostromo and encounters the alien. Ripley has been having the same nightmare throughout her entire time in cryosleep. Unlike in the film, Ripley has been drifting in space for 60 years. Unlike the Aliens Special Edition version, in the 1983 version, Ripley's daughter Amanda Ripley McLaren is still alive and living on Earth, although her character is not given a name. Ripley contacts her via vidphone and finds that she is an old, crippled woman. Amanda blames her mother for being gone and ends the call by telling her that she hates her. The character of Carter Burke does not exist at all in the 1983 version. His actions and dialogue in the early scenes are instead given to a character named Dr. O'Neill, who was removed from later versions of the script. Gateway Station is referred to as Earth Satellite Station Beta in the treatment. While a gateway station is also mentioned, it serves as the home base for the troops assigned to the mission, rather than being the location Ripley is brought to after her rescue. 2. The board hearing. Ripley is questioned in the boardroom. The new owner of the Nostromo, the ICC, and a few other authorities have started an investigation to find out what happened to the ship 60 years ago. Ripley watches as pictures of the Nostromo crew appear on the wall. Dallas, Kane, Parker, Brett, Lambert, and the traitor, Ash. The ICC investigator reports that Ripley has destroyed the Nostromo ship and the refinery. In addition, no physical evidence of the so-called hostile life form could be found in the shuttle to corroborate Ripley's report. Ripley repeats the summation of the outcome on the Nostromo. The board tells Ripley to wait in the corridor while they make a decision on the matter. In the hallway, Ripley talks to Dr. O'Neill. Freeing her, he wonders how she's doing. No money, low qualification of technologies, and outdated skills. Dr. O'Neill adds that today's commercial ships are fully automated. The crews were laid off years before. He offers to help Ripley find a cheap apartment in Beta. Ripley goes to the boardroom to hear the decision. Skeptical of Ripley's wild story, the board revokes her commercial license, permanently grounding her. Ripley hears from an extrasolar colonial administration official that the planetoid has had a Class C mining and terraforming colony for 30 years without any problems or dangerous life forms. Planetoid has 50 families, 10 TRW atmosphere processors, and the air is breathable. Ripley warns him that those families may be in great danger. But he enters an elevator and the doors close in her face. Ripley's hearing in the 1983 version is largely similar to what we see in the final film, though there are a few notable differences. One involves the Weyland-Yutani Corporation. In the 1983 version, the company is still referred to as Weyland-Yutani, which was its original name in the 1979 Alien film. In later drafts, the spelling was updated with a D at the end of Weyland, creating the now familiar Weyland-Yutani, seen in all subsequent films. Another difference is that during Ripley's time drifting in hypersleep, the company has changed ownership and is now under the control of the ICC. Additional changes include how Ripley is treated during the hearing. In the 1983 version, she is required to wait outside the room while the inquest board deliberates. After they revoke her flight status, Dr. O'Neill offers to help her find an apartment on Station Beta. 3. Hadley's Hope. A gloomy, stormy landscape in a planetoid. This ugly little planet was named Acheron by the first research team. The planetoid is home to an EC-486 colony whose residents call their small community Hadley's Hope after the founding members. The terraforming stations dotted around the planetoid have managed to heat and oxygenate the atmosphere sufficiently so closed spacesuits are no longer needed. Near the equator, where the colony is located, it is usually above freezing. The colony has built a small town that looks like a bunker. Neon signs spread bright colors across vaulted walls, billboards, and other businesses. The wind howls through the pipes and beams, whipping anything that isn't tied down. Behind the city, half a kilometer away, is the nearest of the 10 terraforming stations. It resembles a squat, slightly conical chimney, but on a much larger scale. It's a 200-meter tall, artificial steel volcano that blows superheated air straight up into the stratosphere. The rim glows cherry red against the dark sky. In the central control block, a Comtech consults the operations manager about a call on the radio from one of the many independent prospectors roaming the uncharted territories. The colonial administration had the prospectors concentrate their efforts in a certain quadrant, and this one says he's found something there. A strong magnetic profile. He's homing and wants to know if his claim will be honored because of the directive. The manager's response is laconic. He doesn't know why that stretch of rock is more interesting to the ECA than any other. They didn't tell him, and he doesn't care. As far as he's concerned, the standard 20% contract still applies. On the Acheron planetoid in the middle of nowhere, a tractor is moving through difficult terrain. On the tractor is miner Russ Jordan, his wife Anne, and their 2 children, Newt and Tim. Suddenly, Russ is stunned by what he sees. Straight ahead is a bizarre rounded shape projects upward, recently exposed by the wind. It is the tip of the bone-like extraterrestrial ship recognizable by its biomechanical surface, ribs, and veins. Buoyed by volcanic ash into the rising rocks, the frame is buckled in one spot with a black gash in the side almost big enough to drive a tractor through. Russ and Anne think they've really scored big. They pull on exposure suits and head off to take a look. The kids watch from the cab as they disappear inside. At night, in the tractor, the children are scared because their parents have not returned. Suddenly, a dark form slams against the door. Newt screams. The door is torn open. Anne, panting and terrified, grabs the dash mic and starts calling, "Mayday! Mayday! Mayday!" Later, there is a flurry of activity outside the extraterrestrial ship. A group of men with lights and ropes gather at the opening of the hull. Newt watches anxiously from the cockpit as his mother leads the searchers aboard. Inside the ship, through the biomechanoid corridors, the men find a large alien fossilized in his chair. Anne shows the hole where her husband slipped and fell. She says they searched independently for a way out because visually separated lost radio contact. An ominous blue energy layer covers the bottom of the egg chamber. The searchers gear up and they land down where there are leather eggs. Men walk among thousands of leather eggs. Leader, don't touch anything. They spread out across the floor chamber. First searcher, hey, this thing's moving. They watch the top of an egg opening. Second searcher, found him. Another searcher stands over a motionless body, face down. Third searcher, all of them are starting to move now. More eggs open, flower-like. The man who found Jordan turns the body. Something is on his face. The eggs erupt. 1, 2, 3. Then a volley. Screams are muffled by the face-hugging creatures. All the eggs are hatching. The floor of the chamber comes alive with scuttling spider hand nightmares. The men above start hauling up the searchers' lifelines. Screams echo, escalate. The chamber is a writhing, living horror. Overall, the main events and core concept remain the same in both the film and the 1983 version, though there are several differences. The egg chamber scene is not present in the final film, and a few other variations can be found. In the movie, the planetoid is called LV-426, while in the 1983 version, it is named Acheron. In the 1983 script, there are several atmosphere processors on the planetoid, unlike the film, which features only one. Anne Jordan does not drag her husband Russ back to their tractor after exploring the derelict ship. Instead, she loses contact with him after he descends into the egg chamber, and she returns alone to call for help. A major difference is the egg chamber sequence itself, which was not included in the final movie. In this version, a group of men arrive to assist in searching for Russ Jordan inside the derelict ship. This additional egg chamber scene would have worked very well in the film, although it would have required the construction of large, elaborate sets.